Thank you, Chloe. Thank you all. Thank you for a very inspiring introduction, Chloe. And I think the mic is working. Huh? Yes, okay. Good afternoon to you all. I work as a consultant in an engineering and consultancy office. And I work in a field of which is called public and corporate real estate. And organizations ask us, what should our building be? What should our environment be? And traditionally, I have to make sure that this works, yes. Traditionally, one starts with the building. What should the building be? But we start with the people. And we start to find out who are these people who are going to use this building? How can they benefit? How will they, for instance, I work with the school, and then you don't start with a school building, but you start, how do students learn? How do children learn? How do teachers teach? So we discover that, and then we start making the translation of what the building should be. So my work is about making a good match between the people and their environment. It's about what do organizations need and how do they benefit in terms of quality, but also technologically and financially. And we discovered that making change and circles between people and between materials is very important to realize sustainable solutions. And today I would like to tell you some of these powerful principles we discovered when we were discovering how we should use the cradle-to-cradle concept. Before I tell you about these principles, I would like to talk to you about how we discovered it, how we found these things. Because as many organizations, we want to do something about sustainability. We want to give it more meaning. And in this search, we were especially inspired by Cradle to Cradle. Because Cradle to Cradle is not about doing less bad, it's about doing good. So it's not about minimizing energy or minimizing materials, but it's thinking about what helps the students, what helps the teachers. And as Royal Haskoning, we decided not to learn by the book, but to take some practical cases we worked on with our clients so that we got really familiar with the concept. And we had some reflection of Michael Braungart, who is founder of the Cradle concept. We worked with on a variety of cases, like renovating 8 steel bridges. How do you do this? Sustainable. Revitalizing a town hall. But also making French fries. How do you do this sustainable? And after a period of time, it was around 2009 when we did this, we experienced in our practice that there are certain principles which are really successful, meaning that they really lead to sustainable solutions with better chances for positive business cases. The first principle is thinking in positive outcomes. What we learned from Cradle to Cradle is that one has to think effective. We have to think in the green field, as we call this, rather than just being efficient by minimizing the negative impacts. The green field aspires to make buildings and industry good for the environment and society without losing sight of making money. We need to think in adding value rather than just minimizing. If we minimize material, if we minimize water or energy, we better start having no building, no school building. But that's not what helps the teachers and the students. So we discovered that thinking in beneficial solution actually generates a positive influence. It adds value. So it delivered qualities to people, and people ask for that. For instance, in the school project, if you start with the building thinking in materials, you don't get it. You don't get the real solution. Because, for instance, the teachers, they told us, for us, it's far more important to have a healthy building. Because that affects directly on the learning process. So it's really effective for our process. So effectiveness is delivering quality for the people involved. Another example that efficiency is not a solution on the long run is on materials. By using less material, the moment of exhaustion of raw materials will be moved in time. So the rare materials in our mobile phones, in our gadgets, they won't be finished, for instance, in 15 years, but maybe somewhat later. But will that help us? So what we need is a shift from thinking in terms of efficiency towards effectiveness. The second principle is think in circles. A transition is needed to keep materials in a loop instead of creating production line with waste and fallout at the end of pipe. We need to think in change. Connecting production and consuming in ways that rest materials can become production materials again. Waste equals food is the terminology of Cradle to Cradle. In the concept of continuous cycles, as consumers, we as consumers should not use the material, but should borrow it. And the producer stays the owner of the materials. So we don't buy products, but we borrow or lease them. The producers delivers a certain performance, a quality, in which they take integral responsibility for delivering, maintaining, adapting if needed, but also recycling it. And we as consumers pay a lease for this integral service. If I come back to the school project, we see that, for instance, Philips is offering school integrated concepts. They don't deliver the lighting system, they deliver the performance. I like to go on to my third principle. My third principle is about this creating circles is not about technological innovation, it's about innovation on how we make these circles. We have all kinds of systems, how we make the change, how we combine things, how we combine the stakeholders. And to really make a step forward, I think, and we as discovered in our projects, that you need not only innovation on technical matters, but especially on legal and financial systems. These were the 3 principles. I need to finish off. I was intent to tell about a nice anecdote that my 5-year-old son was telling me, because I was thinking, how much time do we need to think in co-creation, to think in chains and in circles? And then I discovered last week even that when my 5-year-old son was cooking for me, and I take the time, I'm sorry, Chloe, he said, I was cutting vegetables, and I say, well, please, Felix, that's what he's called, please take the waste to the rabbit. And he said, hey, mommy, that is a really good idea, because we don't throw it away, but we give it to Snuffy. That's what the rabbit is called. And then I said, well, that's really circular thinking, because the waste of the rabbit is going to our garden again. So I feel really optimistic that the next generations will help us making this circular society. Thank you very much.